Whoopsie daisy, whoopsie daisy. So we were just streaming a little bit of Vibe CCG and then the Pokemon trading card game as well. And the Twitch feed is now saying that we're playing the Pokemon TCG. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. If you clicked on this video, give me 5 minutes. Let's see if I can entertain you just a little bit. The conversation around digital collectibles, we covered it for years. And then it felt like, damn, there was just so many things that weren't working. And then there's starting to happen some things that are like, oh, you know what? Maybe some things are going to work out after all. But before we get into a little bit of a story time, take a look at this clip from back in February of 2021.
On card or a Poke-Pets, for example, or a highlight of an NBA slam dunk in a big game on my phone, and I have the collectible, and it's 1 of 10 in the world. Right? For us, it maybe doesn't make as much sense to go, look at this collectible. I have it here. It's tangible. It's right here in front of you. It's a physical, it's an asset.
Yeah.
But Gen Z, even the generation under them, Gen X, I think catalyzed by our generation, is going to go, look at what I have on my phone. I own this clip. It's called NBA Top Shots is one of them. I own this clip of LeBron James scoring a buzzer beater to beat Miami Heat. I own this clip, and there's only 10 other people who have it. It's a digital collectible.
Also, but like
on card or a Poke-Pets.
So we look at that at face value and say, okay, well, that's a very interesting clip, because I don't think there would be any chance that Logan would bring up NBA Top Shot and NFTs and whatnot nowadays, because of the Crypto Zoo incident, which, if you remember before, he was involved with the collection that was coming out with these collectibles. You're supposed to be able to have multiple different variations of them, all these animals. There was a huge lawsuit. CoffeeZilla, who's a big like research person on like scams, intricate whatever, right? No chance in hell that he would end up talking about that. And then, you know, on the podcast for the RWA segments, which again, we just dropped an episode with one of the artists and founders of Forgotten Ruins Wizard Cult, where he was straight up saying, yeah, there was a lot of problems. There was this, that, and the other thing of like what's transpired. And I have a wall, which maybe I'll grab at some stream here, of 6 different Forgotten Ruins Wizards Cult comics. They look great. They're awesome. If you see them in the store, you'd be like, okay, those are sweet. He tells me that we had a bigger publisher, but they found out like the day before we signed the deal that it had something to do with crypto and NFTs, and they went run to the hills. You know what? You know the Iron Maiden song? I did a horrible rendition there, but that was the same concept of what happened. And we've gotten to a point that it's gotten an unreal stigma to the point where, you know, we covered it for how long? And now we've been doing just general collectibles news over the past couple of months. And so, oddly enough, this morning, I get a message from a friend that I know in person. And they were like, yo. And then I said, yo, back. Huge, right? And they just said, you're in NFTs and stuff, right? And immediately I'm like, yeah. What's going on? And they tell me their boss is thinking about doing something with NFTs and seeing who is on board for it. So we had like a 45-minute call just going over stuff. I'm like, all right, there is going to be way too much to go over here, but we're going to lay out the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what gave me a very different perspective, if I can, was that their boss was wanting to kind of go down this route as like a business because, well, some of the traditional stuff like just isn't working the same way that it was within animation, content, whatever. And it's this sort of like new medium that has an audience, whatever else. I'm sitting here like, oh, well, okay. Like, that's fair enough. You're right. There's a lot of people that are still every single day talking about the digital aspect of things, watching back on that clip. Like, yeah, there was a lot of hopeful aspects we had around it with a lot of issues at the same time. Obviously. But if we're at a point where people are thinking, hey, you know what? Like for an industry, we want to get connected to the whole Web3 world. I'm like, you're right. This is more about how we're consuming content in a different way. Where if you want to watch a show, maybe you can immediately collect something digital for participating. Think of House of the Dragon, the TV show that's coming up. Have you watched every episode the night that it was live? I think I did. I don't even have like a Crave subscription anymore. Might have to get that back for for that little stretch of when the episodes are back. But what if you got a token that was exclusive to just people that tuned in every single time on that night of release, and it was like a cool collectible and a commemoration? Sure, if you want to end up trading them on it, whatever. But it's a different form and a different medium than what we're used to of just consuming content and saying, okay, bada bing, bada boom. And going back to Logan Paul for a second, on the interview that I did with the Hebrew and Claynosaur's co-CEO, Andrew Palekis, who's out of Montreal for their studio in Canada, he was going on about, well, think of Logan Paul. I used to watch that guy all the time back in his YouTube, but like, what did I get as an audience member? Like, essentially nothing for helping them get to the fame. And that goes into a whole nother argument of, all right, well, if you're producing something, who gets the whatever, like you're just a consumer, whatever. But if we're flipping every script that we know on its head, listen, I've been maybe a little bit too bearish on things lately for various reasons. So there's your positive spin, and then we go straight back to the negative. Sports Illustrated, they're collectibles. If you didn't know, Sports Illustrated has an entire collectibles site that they go over news, headlines, big sales, whatever. What's the headline for February 24th? 2 days ago, Bieber, as in Justin, Curry, as in Steph, and other Bored Ape owners riding collectible NFT roller coaster. So what's the like little headline over here? The NFT art market is in free fall, with Bored Apes owned by Justin Bieber and athletes including Steph Curry, Logan Paul, and Serena Williams. I don't know. Okay, are among the hardest hit in the digital asset space. Well, first of all, they're like the only things that are still existing right now, because everything else like legitimately just like crumbled and gonzo. You know what I mean? The Muppets gonzo in the terminology. Also, you're just like a goner gonzo, either or. It's like, so you have that aspect, right? So we're trying to do a little bit of a flippy floppy of looking on every single side of things. And then Gary comes out, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's like, so there is never confusion. In VeeFriends, which is like their brand, its NFTs are greater than the cards, comics, toys, pins, coins. The NFTs will always be the Grail of our IP. And that comes into a couple of different arguments of, okay, well, what if people then value the trading cards of VeeFriends at a certain price that's higher, and they look at it from that? How many people are going to be interested in doing the whole crypto thing of getting a wallet, getting into this, that, and the other thing, and dealing with that whole shebang of things, right? Like it goes into that argument significantly. Because how many people, and the person I was talking to earlier that was like, hey, my boss is trying to get into this stuff, and I'm trying to like, you know, how do we direct this? How easy is it for somebody to go and download a wallet, to then put funds into it, to then buy an NFT, and then feel satisfied of like, yes, I bought something that I am happy with from this. And then what they're happy with is this. Yo, Kid Arcade, how are you doing? Love to see you. Hope you're doing well. You dressed up today? Yeah, you're probably looking fly in person. Love to see it. But this is like, I'm genuinely trying to put this in a different perspective, because all of us, using that term kind of loosely, that have been somewhat familiar when I say VeeFriends, when I say Doodles, when I showcase any of these things, there's an immediate, I understand that. I've had people that I've like met in real life, or like know in real life, they're like, yeah, I watched the stream and I have like no idea what you're talking about, but like it's interesting. I'm like, okay. Right? So there's people that don't understand the components of it, or even like the value proposition. Like if I'm telling you, yeah, this snake is going to cost you $2,500. Why the hell would the average person think like that's cool? They would have to then find VeeFriends. They'd have to go through like a loop and then come to the conclusion that, okay, this is the best thing. Where in person, you show them a card and be like, hey, this is great. And then basically you're done. Now, of course, we got to go back to the negative again. Once again, true. And this one is, this one's about Disney Pinnacle. So what is the complaint about today, which I guess it's probably easier to see from this. It really seems to me like you guys not only don't care about the value of the pins, and realize this is in the support channel for VeeFriends, You also don't care about directly undermining the value of previous pins, even when you could realistically be making different choices, producing the same or even greater revenue, and building the product in a more friendly fashion to your early adopters. It's problematic and it needs to be pointed out. And they have two images, if you're just listening on audio, where it's of a toucan bird on one side with some smaller toucan birds and like a shrinked background, and then what looks to be the same toucan bird with a larger background, but very similar. So I don't know if they're just highlighting, well, these are basically the same things. We'll continue. I've been in Dapper Products for 5 years and seen the ups and downs. I really don't think you guys are making decisions that will grow the platform. Instead of those decisions diminish growth, I would strongly recommend you bring in some fresh eyes to figure out how this product seems to be lagging in growth-oriented decision-making. Sometimes continues to feel off with the decision-making. Your history becomes your future, and right now you are writing a very strange history. Okay, then. Okay, so we are back to doing the exact same thing that people were complaining about for NBA Top Shot. Shocking. Now, these are a part of similar collections. We can go down like the whole list of everything about it, but no matter what, there's going to be problems. I saw the bat symbol. Digital collections are back. Oh, wait. You mean LOL? If you're toucan, I'm toucaning too. So again, went on a little bit of a rampage on the beginning of the stream, being like, okay, maybe I've been too negative, but then you have bad sides of things. And then, okay, well, here's another one. So this is from somebody that has been in NBA Top Shot for quite some time. State of the platform, 5-year anniversary message. Proud to say I have never withdrawn a single penny, 10,486 moments, 113 locked sets, 5,312 unopened packs, 28 unopened boxes, 11 unopened cases. Digital is futurely superior as you were as their sign off. Okay. So we have somebody that I know in person whose boss is like, we're pivoting our business model to get into NFTs after we've seen the world's greatest destruction of NFTs. We then see where Gary Vee is re-emphasizing, which again, if you don't like Gary Vee, that's cool. I posted a video on Facebook and somebody was like, oh, if Gary says that you have to do it. I think it was sarcasm, but he's using it as a reference. That's saying the only thing that matters and the biggest grail of grails is like the NFTs. Okay, so we're rehashing that point. To then go into people that are complaining about the same stuff that's happening for several years, to other people saying, you know what, I love the platform, I haven't sold the thing, and I love this and that, and you're like, maybe Sports Illustrated is right. And we are really just simply riding the roller coaster right now of the ups and downs and the awkwardness of like what's going to work, what's not going to work, who's going to be around, are people going to care more or less, right? Like the Logan Paul video off the beginning talking about NBA Top Shot. And okay, for younger people, is it all that matters? The people that are younger than us and what they're interested in? Because, well, at one point they're going to probably have disposable income, right? Or wait, no, never mind. I forgot. Sorry, right? AI is going to take over everything. Okay. As you were, then you got divorce papers. Okay. So on like TikTok the other day, I'm scrolling along the feed, and the guy that does the financial reporting, not Caleb Hammer, Dave Ramsey show. There's a guy that's on there that's like, I'm $23,000 US in debt from buying Pokémon cards, and my wife now wants a divorce. Honestly, a lot of like the financial shows are pretty like shocking of like, all right, wow. There's people that really did that. But then I saw another clip that was very interesting that was kind of highlighting, like on all of these platforms, it's like, it's the person's fault, which totally, I mean, I've definitely put myself in like wonky positions before that weren't the greatest. And it was like, did anybody do anything to me to get in that? I was like, no, self-decisions. And I think there's like a huge eye-opening aspect to everything regarding collectibles, etc. And this might be like sort of a hot take, and I don't know like how you end up dealing with it, but there is so much of a correlation between what we saw within the NFT space, the frothiness, the craziness that is now happening within the trading card market, where there's people that are coming through on the Riftbound tournaments, which is the new trading card game from Riot Games and the creators of League of Legends, where people are winning a tournament and then listing their tournament card like winning prize cards, right? Like from if you place high enough, you get like these special cards or whatever for like $20,000, and they're finding buyers for it. And then for Pokemon, clearly everybody's highlighted how it's like the best performing asset in the world over the past several years, and it absolutely could continue to do that, but it absolutely could not continue to do that as well. And then do you see the same sort of like free fall that we saw on the euphoric side of the digital assets? I don't necessarily think it gets to like that extreme, because obviously we've seen it gone from like, craziness to like legitimately zero. I think that, on trading cards, with the aspect that there is something physical, you do have different games, you have different collectability, you have different audiences, you have something that can end up getting revived at a point as well, because it's a part of like a bigger IP that's not going to just disappear overnight. But as a conversation, not a single person I've seen talked about at all, other than, yep, the market's going to keep going. And again, it very well could, but it's craziness. Roar, maybe we need a technology world like cyberpunk style for NFTs to thrive. Then in places with technology for people to hang out, it will make more sense than just hold a digital asset that no one cares about. So one of the caveats, I guess, to all of this discussion is what the hell happened to the metaverse worlds that these characters were intended to be a part of. Right now, you go into Fortnite, play a game, and there's people that have certain skins that represent something, whether it be the Metallica skin, the Sabrina Carpenter skin, whatever the hell it is, right? And it's like a digital flex, but also you're playing and enjoying and consuming something of like, I'm in this world that I love, but also I'm playing as something that I additionally also really appreciate and like, and you feel that extra connection. So how do you make it where those connections matter? And for the digital front, all the metaverses failed, essentially, right? There's still a few of them that are trugging along, but like that was a huge component. Can I share with you like the world's worst article? So there's one that says 4 Coca-Cola collectibles worth good money. And I'm thinking, this is going to be great. And you scroll through, they're like old Coca-Cola bottles, original vintage Coca-Cola signs and ads, modern Coca-Cola silver coins and gold bars. And what is it? It's nothing but ads on the entire thing and no images of what the collectible is. Like, it's just, get out of here. Get the hell out of here. And then so back to the trading card thing for a second. I just did a stream for about an hour and a half where it was only on Twitch and X. So if you want to watch that, I might upload it as like a separate video to YouTube. But we did Vibes TCG, right? Trading card game. Super fun. I loved it. But one of the problems with it was that when you try to play a player, there was like a huge wait time. I think we waited like twice for like 10, 15 minutes and couldn't find somebody. And the first opponent we had, I beat them, but then I guess they left the game and it didn't concede. And so I won, but the game glitched out because of it, which is fine. Obviously, technical problems, whatever. But my point being is that we are going to see a rotation potentially of what people are very much interested in. And for Riftbound, we are seeing a ton of uptick. So do we have a stage right now where we just kind of came off One Piece being like very, very hyped up and the main discussion point to now it feels like Riftbound is in the front. But then we've heard from Luca Netz who's saying, oh yeah, Vibes is going to be in Walmart, Target, Best Buy, one of the big retailers coming like this year. And it's like, okay, so then do we switch from the Riftbound hype potentially into that? And do we keep hop, skipping, and jumping depending on what's exciting, what's new, and we just have a big world of people shuffling around the trading card space, similar to what we saw within meme coins, within NFTs, where it's kind of community jumping and being a part of whatever is hot at the time. So there's the other kind of perspective that I think might be something to play a role. Riftbound has potential. It feels like that. And then Disney Pinnacle, they're coming out with like a 70-year anniversary for Disney cards. Somebody opened some packs for that. Thought, okay, let me show that for you super quickly. Looks pretty all right. Nothing, I don't know. Looking at those, I don't think like I get out of bed for it, but still sort of neat. And apparently they are now having all of the mainstream Pokemon games getting mainstream. All of the Pokemon games that have been released, period, in a frame, but then also selling them as individual key tags. So a lot of stuff coming out regarding Pokemon, and tomorrow is the Pokemon Day for the 30th anniversary, so we will be live at like 9 a.m. Eastern, I believe, is when that starts. So another thing that's been interesting, we talking about these ebbs and flows, at one point, Magic the Gathering was the dominant force within trading card games, game nights locally, that those were the nights to be at. Eliel Drazi. I don't think I've been less excited for a Magic set than I have been for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. I don't like the style, the art, or the cards. I miss Magic Planes and lore a lot. So everybody's been complaining about this new set, in which I was listening to Rudy, who is a YouTuber, and earlier he was like, I've gotten so much backlash from people that are saying I'm trying to pump and dump this set from simply stating I think the production run from it has been quite limited because people going into it were like, I don't know about it. And they're wanting to try to make sure that sets don't flop if you are Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, the creators of producing this card game. And so he said straight up, I've gotten so much negativity around this, I'm just not going to sell like 50% of these and just keep them strictly for myself and see what people have to say. So there's a lot of negativity specifically around Magic the Gathering. And I'd also add from a personal note from uploading shorts on different platforms, I don't get a crazy amount of comments, but usually anything around Magic, people are complaining about these Beyond universes, which these are what we've seen in the past a little bit, right? Lord of the Rings, Final Fantasy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've had the Spider-Man release and so on and so forth. Out in, where is this? Miami? Yeah, downtown Miami. Look at this. A new soccer store. It's got history. It's got legends. It's got the world of soccer, football, depending on where you're from. Look at this. This is just like art, isn't it? What we go for. Oh, look, a digital screen. Can we redeem a collectible? No, these are just insights of where to go. I like the little music they choose in the background. Calm, cooling. So there you go. There's a new museum coming up in Miami. And a new Labubu record as well. $58,695 for a Labubu card. So can we go back to like that Euphoria comment that I was making just a second ago? And this is cool. I do think that there's like some really, really cool collectibles that have come out. The Manchester United badge from Sir Alex Ferguson's iconic 92-93 season jacket went inside a rare trading card. Look for it in Topps Decades Premier League. So listen, that's the sort of collectible that I'm like, all right, that's respectable and cool and very interesting. Anyway, that's it for this edition of XFeed. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys are staying tuned to all the collectibles news as there's so much going on. We got the Pokemon Day happening tomorrow. Maybe we'll play some more vibes or Pokemon cards in general for that. Roar, I appreciate you coming on through. Peckham, I appreciate you popping through every single stream as well. And the Kid Arcade, looking phenomenal. I imagine in person. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.